everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen, and today I'm going to walk you through how to make the Numberblocks character numbers 1 through 5 out of gum paste. And don't forget, if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe because it does help me out too. Alright, to begin with number 1. Number 1 is red, and so I have a couple wooden sticks there that you can see. They measure about 3/4 of an inch tall when they're set like that. So I rolled him out 3/4 of an inch tall, and then I trimmed him off to try to make him look as square as possible. I'm using my fondant paddles there to square him off a little bit more as well. He has one eye. He's kind of a cyclops. So I am taking some dark red. It's actually maroon color. I made a ball, as you saw, pressed it down with my circle tool to make a little cup in the middle, fill it up with some white, stick it in the center of the top part of his head there, and you've got number 1's eye. Alright, make sure you get it nice and even, round it off. Now I'm going to take the same maroon color, make kind of like a little hot dog out of it, curve it upwards to make him happy. I use that circle cutter to make a little print to follow the curve of the smile. So now he's got his mouth closed and he's smiling. Alright, now to make his arms, I made kind of a teardrop shape out of the maroon color, and not too long, maybe just about half the length of the block, I'll use the word block, and put one on each side, just a little bit of water to hold it in place. And then I just added a black ball, pressed it down to make the pupil. Okay, I used a piece of dried spaghetti, put a little bit of black gum paste around it, just kind of circled it off there, made a cylinder out of it, and that is his number 1 on top of his head. I know the numbers are free floating, but I do not have magical powers, unfortunately. I wish I did. So I can't make them levitate, so I'm using just pieces of dried spaghetti and putting them right exactly on top of their heads, and I think it still works out just fine, I gotta say. Alright, so number 2 is orange. So I took my orange gum paste, the same thickness with those pieces of wood, and now you're going to see how clever I am. I'm using it to measure to make my little squares actually square, not just guess like I did with the red one. So I measured it out 3/4 of an inch twice there, trimmed off the extra, and now I know that my number 2 here is the proper size and width, and he's all nice and square. So I'm using the back of my knife blade and the front of my knife blade too to make an imprint halfway through, and I'm kind of rolling it around the corners a little bit because, ideally they are separate segments that are coming together, so I want a little bit of a seam between them. And using my knife blade really worked perfectly. Now I added a mouth. This guy is kind of surprised, so I took an orange ball, pressed it down in the center, added a little black dot in the middle, just kind of like a surprise face, And now I'm going to make number 2's glasses. I took 2 balls of purple, pressed down in the center to make the little cups again, filled it up with white just like before, no surprises here. And now I'm going to take a little bit of a rectangle of the purple and attach it to either side of the glasses. The eyes are also touching in the center there, just barely. So I'm using a paintbrush with a little bit of water to paint on either side of the glasses, taking my rectangles and sticking them on oh so carefully. Once they're in place, 2 black balls for the eyes. I'm adding little white dots of gum paste for highlights because, glasses, sparkly eyes, there you go. And now I am moving on to the number 2 itself. I just took some black gum paste, shaped it into a number 2. I'm going to trim off the extra and let it dry. Once it hardens and so it's able to hold its shape, I will just stick it on with a little bit of water, and if it need to, I will lean it against a piece of dried spaghetti just to prop it. But no big surprises or worries there. Alright, moving on to number 3 now. Same deal as number 2, except we're adding an extra block. So it's a little bit longer. I'm still doing the same thing though. I used my stick to measure it so it's as wide as it is tall, as it is thick. And I'm using my knife blade, the front and the back of it, to make 2 nice little dividing lines. So I have 3 nice little segments. Now I am going to use golden yellow here for the eyes, same as we did for the other 2. Make 2 balls, press them down in the center, fill it in with some white. I've got another little hot dog shape for the mouth. I put a little even skinnier hot dog in the middle of the mouth to make it look like his teeth. I'm pressing it all down so it's nice and flat. Putting 2 little black dots for the eyes. And now I'm going to add the arms. And I didn't mention the arms in number 2, but they're all the same. The only one that's different is the number 5, I believe it is, that has the sports foam hand that he wears. Those are the only difference. Otherwise, you're going to add the teardrop shapes. This guy has maroon teardrop shaped arms and has three red pom-poms down the front of its middle segment there. And he kind of wears like a little jester's crown. So I cut out red gum paste into 3 triangles. I didn't cut them all the way through. They're still connected to kind of make the jester's hat. And yeah, now just make the number. More of that black gum paste. Shape it into a number 3. Put it aside to let it harden. Same as before. We'll come back to it once it's done. I'll just stick it on the top and lean it against a little piece of spaghetti if I need to. Okay, number 4 is a little different. He's green and he's square. So you saw how I had the 2 pieces of wood together to make out a nice square shape. I just held them together, put some light lines with my knife blade to mark it, cut it out. Now I'm just going down the center of each one. I got lazy here and didn't measure it with my wooden stick, which I should have, because honestly it turned out they were a little crooked. I got lazy and I paid for it, so learn from my mistakes, which I know you heard me say before. I'm adding the marks again on the sides and the top, kind of rounding it off a little bit. And now I've got his body. Now I'm going to make his eyebrows. He's got big dark green eyebrows, so I made a rectangle, kind of thick, because he's got pretty big eyebrows. Cut it into a nice shape that I thought looked good. Made 2 of them the same size. You saw me match it up to the one I liked. Trim off the extra. I put a little mark down the center. So it looked like it was there. I don't know if it actually is, but it looked like it to me. I don't have little ones that watch the show, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm adding some more of the dark green to make the eyes and the mouth. The mouth is just another little hot dog in a happy shape with a little piece of white in the center, just like we did for number 3. The eyes are green squares, though. They're not circles this time. This guy is all square. So I made green squares with white squares in the center and little tiny black dots. He's got real tiny little dark spots for eyes, so be careful of that. More teardrops for the arms. And this is how I made the number 4. I took the black gum paste, wrapped it around the piece of spaghetti that I got going on there, and I tried to make it as tight to the spaghetti stick as possible. I took a second little piece of gum paste, kind of hooked it like a greater than, less than type sign, stick it on like that. I had a little bit of water to it, put it aside to let it dry. All right, number 5. I'm not taking you through all of it exactly again because you know at this point how to make little block shapes. Just 5 in a row, same as before. Marked them out. This time I measured it properly. Used my knife to make the separate lines on his body. But this time I'm taking some dark blue gum paste and I rolled it out pretty thin. I'm using a very small star cutter, made 1 star for the eye. The other one is just going to be a dark blue ball like before, press down in the center to cup it, and also press down in the center of the star to cup it, fill it in with white, and that makes his eyes. Now the one arm, as you saw on the left, is just a blue teardrop, nothing special here. On the left side, did I say right? I think I did. On the left side, he wears the sports foam hand, so that's what I'm making here. I took a bigger piece of gum paste, blue gum paste, and I'm cutting it out carefully to make 5 fingers. This show does a whole lot of counting, and sometimes they count fingers, and the fingers are always accurate for, the typical human hand with 5 fingers, 4 fingers and a thumb. So make sure you do it right. Don't make 4 like, normal cartoon characters might have. Okay, the piece of dried spaghetti, once again, coming into play. I put some blue or dark blue around it, break off the extras so there's just enough for the little foam hand to stick on. Sticking it into the second segment down, as you can see there, so that it's sticking up in the air because he's pretty happy. Now I'm going to make the mouth. I'm taking some pink gum paste, rolled it out nice and thin. I used my circle cutter to make a circle out of it, and then I cut that kind of in half to make like a crescent moon shape. And then I added the white just like before, and I'm putting it right on top of that seam between the top 2 blocks. Some of these characters, be careful of the location of their mouths. Sometimes they sit on seams, sometimes it's all contained on one block. So just be aware of it when you do it, okay? Now I'm taking that same light blue that I used to make the body of number 5, and I cut out a very messy but, still recognizable little star to put in this palm of his foam hand, because that's what he's got. And now that awesome zoom in right there, you can see really well what I'm doing. I'm just making the number 5. Just like I did with the other numbers, I'm going to cut it out, put it aside, let it dry, and then once it's all nice and firm, I'm going to stick it to the top of his head, with a little piece of dried spaghetti. You can see kind of in the picture there. There they are with their little pieces of dried spaghetti sticking up. So I hope you found this video helpful. Once again, please like and subscribe because it really does help me. I've got a ton of other videos to check out, so please take a look. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.